Version 25's Wrap feature is extremely powerful and can do a lot of things. If you haven't watched the video on Wrap, you should probably do that before you watch this video. Now, despite Wrap's power, there are a few design implications that you need to be aware of. So let's take a look at this example. We have this sketch that's been wrapped onto these two surfaces. And if we take a look at this from the top, we can see kind of the first design implication that we're going to face. And that's that when we look at the sketch through the sketch normal, in other words, straight down, we notice that we don't necessarily get alignment between the sketch itself and the geometry that's been created. Due to the very nature of how Wrap is supposed to work, for example, wrapping around a cylinder, this expectation wouldn't really be realistic anyway. But sometimes you do need the kind of effect of Wrap with the certainty that the sketch and the resulting geometry will align, at least when looking through the normal of the sketch. And for this, we have a new tool called Project. Project is found on the Wrap dropdown here and works pretty similarly to the way Wrap does, but has the caveat that the resulting geometry will closely match or exactly match with the sketch when viewed straight down from the sketch or through the sketch's normal plane. We can take a look at the resulting geometry here, and in this particular case, it's not too dissimilar from Wrap's result, but there are many cases where the results will be dramatically different. In this example, we have a shifter knob that we're designing, and for our design purposes, it's important that this sketch be relatively consistent when viewed from the top. Because of this requirement, we would use an emboss project. Let's go ahead and edit the emboss project to see the options that we get. The dialog looks pretty similar to the Wrap dialog, but because the tool takes the sketch normal as the direction and basically projects the sketch straight down onto the object, we don't have any of the sketch options that Wrap does, which would let us kind of pick the orientation of the sketch relative to the target geometry. But just like Wrap, we also have the type. We can do an emboss and a deboss, and we can choose the depth of those. The resulting geometry is always going to be normal to the target surface. So if we look at any point in this, we can see that the geometry comes off at the normal to the sphere. If we look at this from the top and start to ask ourselves what might happen as the geometry gets closer and closer to the side of this, in other words, at a glancing angle to the geometry, we might start to understand the differences between Wrap and Project and when they might be used. Let's modify this sketch and add a quick circle. And we want to get it as close to a glancing angle as we can so we can see kind of the maximum distortion. We'll go ahead and deactivate. And we can see that on this area of extreme curvature change, we get a lot of distortion on this circle. So you can kind of choose Wrap when you want the local geometry result to be more consistent with the sketch itself. And you would choose Project when you want the resulting geometry to very closely match the sketch as viewed through the sketch normal.